Welcome to Longevity Industries' presentation of the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast. I'm your host, Dean Phillips, and I'm here on the campus of the University of Memphis. I have with me today Stonewall Kelsey. Sir, welcome. Glad to have you here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get right into it. What are the most important things to you in the job perspective as you go out there and you start to really get into it as a career? What are you looking for?
Well, I guess a few like the main things. Obviously, you want to pick a job that you like. You know, you want to love going into work every morning. You want the company to genuinely care about your well-being. You always hear other companies say, once you leave work, you're done. Don't go home with a bad attitude. I don't want to have to leave home with a bad attitude.
Sure, and I think that's a very good attitude to have when you go in, because if you don't have a good attitude and you don't enjoy it, it's going to be a nightmare for you.
It'll be a long day.
If you were to look at what your expectation is as far as base salary, and what kinds of things would you want to have in a job that you're going to go to work in?
So currently I'm actually working as a field superintendent for a general contractor. And so some of the things that just being in the field and hearing what other guys, know, it's like definitely job security. Once you're on a job, it'll be a 3-year job. Then you're guaranteed, to be on that job for 3 years until the next, project that they do. So there's, a bunch of job security with that for sure. And then also as far as pay goes, bonuses do come a long way. I know with construction, if you save a lot of money in a certain amount of time, then there's a certain percentage bonus that you get yearly. And those are certainly nice. Some good things to look forward to.
Yeah, I think that's a good outlook to have. What do you think about looking forward to the companies? Are you looking for something that, do you have an expectation for vacation, time for volunteering outside of the company, benefits?
Now, the company I'm with currently, it's a lot of weekends for sure, because the site we're on is very restricted on when we can actually bring concrete trucks in and steel and stuff in. So as far as vacation time, I guess I'm going to grind while I'm young, and hopefully as I, go up the podium, I'll get a little more time off. But as far as things to do outside of the company, they do so much. We had a golf tournament on Tuesday. We had family night last Saturday. There's plenty of things that they're involved with, especially being a general contractor, because we work with 20 other subcontractors. So we do things with them, constantly. That's
great. Do you look for a company that has involvement with the local community or has outside interest to do more things to give back into the community?
Of course, yeah. I think any company should really make themselves known, do charity races, do any sort of anything to get your name out there for other people to say, well, I've never heard of that company, but I do know that they did so-and-so for St. Jude, and that's always a good thing to look forward to, and that's, a good thing to have in the back of your mind, like, I'm not sure what they do, I'll look into it because I went to their event, things like that.
Do you see this job that you're working in now as a job or a career?
I definitely see it as a career. So when I got hired as technically an assistant field superintendent, and there's so much room to grow. So my boss is the general superintendent. He's in charge of all the subcontractors. He's in charge of everyone, and that's definitely something to work up to. There's so many things to learn. You can work in QC, safety, project management, scheduling. There's so many different things to do, just involved in my field particularly,
Very good. Do you think, are you more interested in seeing what your starting pay is, or more interested in earning-based, performance-based raises? Is that
definitely performance-based? I think, I think a good starting salary, if you utilize, your skills well enough, you should be able to start easily 65,000. But that's just starting pay. Honestly, like if you're doing a good enough job and you're really using your major and everything you've learned, I think $100,000 a year, easily 6 digits is attainable within the first 5 years of your job, depending on how good of a job you're actually doing.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair depending on the companies you go to work for. And I think you have to look at those opportunities. Are you looking more for a company that has a collaborative environment or more of a top-down approach?
Definitely collaborative, for sure. I mean, there's so many times where you go into work and two guys just aren't on the same page about something, and then they have to constantly explain back and forth to each other, and that's not a good thing.
Are you looking for a schedule flexibility, or it seems like you understand that this is this is when we can do the job, and you know that the reality is that isn't always possible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, being such a young person starting in such a big field like that, you have to expect to be the low man on the totem pole and kind of get pushed around a little bit. But I mean, you got to hold your own, and hey guys, can't work this weekend, you're gonna have to take my shift, stuff like that.
Right.
So.
Right. If you were to look at a priority for these different company assets or involvements, which order would you put them in?
Definitely number one for me would be build a formal training program. I think if your employees aren't well equipped to do the things you're asking them to do, then you're doing them a disservice. A lot of companies will argue, well, I don't want to pay for all this training for one of my employees just to get all the certifications and then leave my company. Well, then you're doing your company a disservice because you want to have the best engineers you can get. If that's just a risk you have to take. There's
an old saying that somebody once told me. They said, what if I train them and they leave? Well, what if you don't train them and they stay?
They stay, yeah. Exactly. And if you train them well enough, then surely they'll realize, wow, they're paying for my training. They really care about what I'm doing. Like, this is a good company. And usually 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a good company. Let's see. Number 2 would definitely be collaborative environment. Like I said, there's too many times where I've gone into work and something's, not been mentioned, and then a few people are kind of off, and that's something we're all working on together. Before you leave for the day, make sure everyone's on the same page about what's going on tomorrow. It's just little things like that that can make you so much more productive as a company as a whole. And I guess that definitely goes with create a collaborative environment. If you're stuck in your cubicle all day and you don't do anything but look at your computer, and go to the copier, then I don't know. I feel like you're definitely missing out on that work structure, on the actual things you could be doing. Okay, well, I'm making a spreadsheet. Well, I could, grab my partner over here and we could do it together. And then 2 people know the same thing. It's the little things like that. And I guess, and then right after that would be provide regular and immediate feedback. And that would go with collaborative environment. Because, if everyone's talking, then no one's missing anything, and everyone's on the same page about everything. So you don't really have, like, a weakest link there. If you have the one guy with his office door shut all day, and then he comes out, but everyone else has been over here discussing things, he's left out. He doesn't know what's going on, and he's your weakest link.
Right.
And then I guess the last one, ensure all feel invested in the company. I guess if you follow those first 4, then you should feel like, I want to show up to work, give 100%. And show that company that I really care, show myself that I really care about this job, things like that.
Sure. Well, Stonewall, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and take part in this podcast today. It's been my great pleasure to have you here. I, again, am Dean Phillips, and we are here with the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast here at the University of Memphis.